Today's topic is talking about the bladder. You know I love to talk about the bladder, so we talk about different issues with the bladder all the time. So lately I have had a bunch of clients coming in and talking about bladder leakage when they work out. And I'm hearing things like, I just don't jump rope anymore because I know I'm going to leak, or I always wear a heavy pad on plyometric day, or even if I pee right before I work out, I still have bladder leakage when I do any kind of jumping. So leaking with exercise, especially jumping, is not normal. It's common, but it's not normal. It's not a sign that you're working super hard and you should just keep pushing through it. It is a sign of dysfunction in your pelvic floor and in your core support system, and there's things that you can do about it. So please, please, please do not assume that you just have to wear a pad and push through it. And please, please, please don't stop working out because of bladder leakage. We need to be active. And one of the main things that I see happen to many, many, many women is that they get less and less active because they are either worried that they're going to leak, or that because they do leak when they do activities that they used to love. So they start out by, oh, I just won't do any of the jumping stuff. And then it progresses on, well, even when I lift, I leak some. So I just won't do any lifting. And now even when I walk for exercise, I'll leak some. So, well, I won't do that anymore. And we see people get less and less active, and that has so many detrimental effects. So we want to make sure that you stay active and dry. Okay, so today we're going to talk specifically about some tips that you can do to avoid or prevent bladder leakage when you are doing jumping activities. So we're talking about jumping rope, jumping jacks, box jumps, hurdle jumps, anything like that. So any type of jumping activity, even jumping on a trampoline. Leave out that one because I don't know about you, but I actually really enjoy going to a trampoline park with my son and getting on the trampolines. And I hate when I hear people say, oh, yeah, no, I don't do that anymore. I just sit on the sidelines and watch my kids jump on the trampoline because I know I'll leak if I do it. And it's like, no, those are fun. Get out there and do them. So I'm going to teach you some things that you can be doing to hopefully get back to jumping and staying dry while you do it. So some things to think about to try and avoid bladder leakage when you are jumping. So first and foremost, we need to have a strong, supportive, supple pelvic floor. Now you guys have heard me talk about the pelvic floor before. Got my lovely little pelvis today. So the pelvic floor is the bowl of muscles on the bottom of the pelvis here, and it helps to support our pelvic organs, and it helps to make sure that we don't pee and poop on ourselves when it's not time to pee and poop on ourselves. And it makes sure that our nice bony ring here has some support around it as well. And so these muscles have lots of jobs. A lot of people, you may have heard the term a Kegel exercise, and that is a contraction of the pelvic floor. So that's when we squeeze the pelvic floor and they lift up and into our body. Now we are not designed to squeeze these guys all day long. So you have some people think, oh, I'm worried that I'm going to be leaking, so I'm just going to hold them tight like this all day long. That does not work. If I wanted to get my hand stronger, I would not, holding it tight like this all day long is not going to work. It's just going to make my hand hurt. Okay, so we need to be able to contract and relax the muscles. So if you're having trouble even finding the pelvic floor muscles, you may need to partner up with a pelvic floor physical therapist. And at the end of this video, I'll talk a little bit more about what that might look like for you. But for those of you who are having a good time being able to find your pelvic floor muscles, we may need to just make sure that they are strong enough. And that's so doing some Kegel exercises throughout the day may be helpful. So trying to contract and hold the pelvic floor muscles for 5 seconds at a time, and then let them relax just to see if you can do it, okay? But that's the first thing that we want to make sure is that we've got a strong, supportive, supple pelvic floor that can accept the load from jumping, okay? So what's another thing that we can do? So a lot of people, when they are jumping, whether they mean to or not, start to hold their breath when they jump. And when you hold your breath, you turn your canister here, your trunk, into a pressurized soda can. And it ends up putting a lot more pressure down through the pelvic floor. So if we've got our pelvic floor bowl, and we are holding our breath, we end up with a lot of pressure going down through that pelvic floor. And that means that those muscles have to work even harder to avoid or to prevent leakage from happening. So we should be breathing when we're jumping. So I'm not saying that it has to be an inhale and exhale with every jump, but air should be exchanging. You should be able to talk a little bit while you're jumping. So if you find that you are holding your breath when you are doing jumping activities, we want to stop and see if you can just start breathing while you're jumping. And that may be enough to eliminate the pressure in the trunk canister and eliminate the pressure down on the pelvic floor so that you don't have leakage. Okay? Another thing that you can do to try and avoid leaking with jumping is to check your posture. Okay, so when we jump, and again, I should probably stand up and do this, but then my head's going to be off the screen and it's not going to look good. But when we jump, a lot of times we have a tendency, I'm going to go sideways here, to kind of lean back. And we're kind of leaning back into the jump, especially for jumping rope. And when we do that lean back, it kind of tips our pelvis back like this. And so we take all of the force down through our pelvic floor. If we actually create a little bit of a forward lean, then we get to take some of the force of the jump down through what's called our pubic bone here, instead of it all going through our pelvic floor. So check your posture and see if you are leaning backwards when you are jumping, or can you come forward a little bit more. It may feel like you're falling forward that way, but try it and see how it feels on your pelvic floor, because when we're a little bit more tipped forward, the front of our pelvic bone can take some of the pressure from the jumping, and that may be, again, all it takes to avoid leaking while we're jumping. All right, one more tip to try to see if you can stop the leakage while you're jumping. It's to check your landing, okay? So when we are jumping, there can be a lot of very hard, forceful pounding down. So try to land soft. I want you to try and pretend that you are landing on eggs and you don't want to crack them. So that means you're going to let your knees be soft, and you're going to try and go for very soft landings, and that will help to minimize some of the pressure again down through the pelvic floor area. And again, that may be all it takes to help avoid leaking while jumping. All right, so there you have it. I just gave you 4 tips that you can try to try and avoid leaking with jumping. So just to review, strengthen your pelvic floor muscles. Make sure you don't hold your breath when you're jumping. Check your posture. You want to be a little bit more leaning or tilted forward than backwards, and work on your landing. You want a nice soft landing. So there are our tips. So go, try them, see if you can jump. Comment back, let me know. I want to know that you're able to exercise the way that you want to. Now, if you go out there and you try this and you're still having leakage issues, it doesn't seem to be working for you, you may need to partner up with a pelvic physical therapist to assess what is going on with your muscles that is preventing you from staying dry while exercising. And we would love, love, love to be there to help you out and get you back to being active the way that you want. So if that's the case, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can comment, you can send us a direct message, you can email us, you can give us a call. We respond to all different kinds of things, but we want to make sure that all women are being able to stay active and healthy the way that they want to without having to worry about their bladder.